I'd have to say it is with a heavy heart that fantasy is dead. We've killed it. It is never coming back. And again, you gotta work with me. I'm on my hot spot, but it's just it's just something I gotta talk about because fantasy's just getting killed in mainstream and just with games in general, and no one wants to do anything about it. And it's sad because again, in the early 2000s, you had all these IPs that came up, right? And each one of these IPs had its own style, its own character, its own world. And now it's all just kind of being shoved into this amorphous blob where it's just like, oh, you just gotta accept that this is happening, and okay, if you have a problem with it, then you're a fake fan. You don't like it, and it's like, you know, these IPs are not the same as what they were. In the early 2000s, the same people over these IPs don't exist to this day. So yeah, things are going to change. And again, gaming as a culture has just become mainstream, and because of that, normies walked in, and because there's a lot of money on the table, they're like, okay, so how instead of the autistic nerds getting together and it's like, okay, what can we add? Like we're making a game by nerds for nerds. What do we have? Well, they adhere to, other interests. They adhere to like social interests, things that have very little to do, things that don't add anything because it's almost always used to take away from an IP. So I have a couple up here that I want to talk about, like Age of Wonders, right? I played the very first Age of Wonders, and you can look, and if you played these games, you can look at this map and be like, okay, this is Age of Wonders 4, this right here is 3. I played Age of Wonders 1. Is that even going to show up in this search? You also gotta bet again on a fucking, like, it's not even showing the first two Age of Wonders. Okay, here's a a picture of it. And again, what made this fantasy is again you had a lot of fantasy just don't really have like that interesting of a story. In this one, it was, oh, the evil elf guy versus good guy, and you start up and you play a guy like the good guy, quote the good guys, quote unquote. Or no, in this one you could choose to uh ally with the bad guys or the good guys. And I chose the good guys. You can also choose a faction. My dumb ass chose the halflings, and the halflings in this game were just bad. They were absolutely trash, garbage tier. But hey, I chose them and I had to fucking deal with it. See an older turn-based strategy games. You made a decision and you lived with it. There wasn't mid-maxing. There wasn't this thing where all the factions were equal. They all have a competitive edge. No, I just chose an objectively bad faction simply because I liked Lord of the Rings and had to fucking deal with it. And some in the game was just unfair. Like there's this one level where the enemy could just teleport to your capital, take it, and you'd lose. So what I did was just completely abandon all of my cities, rake together four armies, and just charge their hero. Because if the hero fucking died, the whole faction lost, and the same applied to you. The problem is your hero is the strongest fucking combatant in your arsenal, right? And you had the humans, you had the archons, you had orcs, you had evil factions, and you could also gentrify your cities. Move one race out that is unfavorable for another race that was favorable. And that was in the first one. They kind of removed a lot of that. Like in Age of Wonders 4, like the race is just an aesthetic. It doesn't mean anything. Like you can change perks around however you want. In 3, they try to give all the factions a competitive edge. Like, whereas the halflings in 1 were just bad, in 3, they try to do the thing where it's like, oh, well, they had this mechanic called luck, and which effectively was a chance that they would take no damage. The problem is that was so fucking powerful, you can get it to like 50% of the time they wouldn't take damage, and it just became ridiculous. 2? Yeah, this is 2. I don't really remember a lot of 2, right? I played through 2, but I never really went back to playing 2. Like, I went back to playing 1 on the other side. I played a lot of 3. I have thousands of hours of 4. Like, in 2, I'm not mistaken, you had about the same factions. But, well, okay, in 1, they were called the High Men. The guys with angels, the objectively good human faction. In 2, they were called the Archons, which, fantasy stuff. Again, each faction had their own lore, had their own style. You couldn't go wrong. At least in the previous ones you could go wrong, but you couldn't really go wrong in the later ones. And he was Planetfall, which was the sci-fi version. But okay, different game, different setting, with completely different lore. That made it its own thing until Paradox got their greasy hands on it, and it lost all of that. I can't go into this without shitting on Total War. Like, absolute fumble of an IP of a gigantic proportion. And people defend this. You go to Reddit, they will defend the bull. Like, they would say, oh, well, you have every right. There's reasons to shit on them, but this ain't it. It's like, okay, they have bugs that existed in the first fucking Total War game. The AI is garbage. Not fun. I think this is one of few strategy games that will actually just straight up lie to you. Because if you're starting out in this game, you're like, okay, I want to play on easy just to get my bearings. And okay, you play on easy, you move the modifier to where you have, an extra 10% of every stat, like melee attack, defense, armor piercing, all that, health. But what the game doesn't tell you is that only applies to auto-resolve, right? It doesn't apply to actually being in-game. It's like, so you get in-game, you're like, okay, Pyrrhic victory, I'll lose, 2 or 3 units? Well, I want to fight it manually, because I might actually have a better chance. But what happens if you do that? You lose that battle, just completely lose. So what new player would be like, okay, so I have a better chance at auto-resolving. I'm just going to auto-resolve, which is the trap. Because, again, starting out, you just auto-resolve every battle. And you think you're trash, but that's not the case. The game lies to you. You auto-resolve every battle. You don't actually learn the game. You're not actually having fun, because you have to auto-resolve. And with Ogre, if you're starting out with Ogres, good luck, right? The auto-resolve hates them. Like, I can't tell you how many games I will say I get defeated, but then I actually play the battle and just completely obliterate the enemy. Same thing with the Vampire Coast, right? The Vampire counts are easy because most of them, it's like the game heavily, like, like what you need is like the orcs. The orcs are just a bad fucking faction because the game heavily uh, is in favor of hard hitting melee units, right? With auto resolve or like war machines with Skaven. And like the point of using Skaven is to have shit infantry and just have a hell of a lot of artillery to just obliterate them. The thing with Tomb Kings is to have constructs, right? So these are factions that are heavily helped by the auto resolve. If you're playing, I don't know, again, ogres, you're gonna have a hard time. You're playing chaos, like to an extent, you'll have a hard time until you get some of the best cavalry that you'll never actually want, because despite like not wholly the better version of Knights Errant having better stats, it takes more turns of them to fucking get except the regular variant. But enough of the mechanics. Like again, you look at this, you're like, okay, this is cool. This is Kislev. You look at the Warriors of Chaos, they look fucking cool. Like you're just looking at the orc, you're looking at these like looking at the images, you're like, okay, this looks like a cool game. Right? This looks pretty fucking epic. I want to play this game. But then you realize, you know, a lot of the fantasy that it had, at least in the third one, has completely went away. It's like, okay, you have dwarves hate elves. I don't care what fucking fantasy you're in. The idea is dwarves hate elves. I want fantasy racism. If I don't get fantasy racism, it's just bad. Like your IP's bad. I don't care. Give me fucking that. But they don't want to do that. And they're like, no, we can't do that. We have to become this amorphous amalgamation for the wider audience. And and what happened is not really that, right? What happened is Total War just completely forgot what it needed to do to sell Total War to people. Like, there's bugs that still exist that makes the game just worse. The game lies to people, right? And again, you have all these points on the graph that just leads to a complete wipe of the IP, because this should just be a flagship IP right here. But they don't know. They don't know what the consumer wants. They're like, oh, well, people play more of this faction, so we're going to add more to this faction. Like they added a lot to the Empire, right? I mean, the steam tanks was always a thing, but I mean, I think they were. Yeah, I remember the steam tanks and Total Warhammer 1. Yeah, but it's like they added more, and there's just factions that you play, and you can just tell that they haven't gotten any love because they're like Bretonia. They hate Bretonia. I don't know why they hate Bretonia, but Bretonia just doesn't really have anything. Like they've got like the siege battles are terrible. Do not ever fucking fight in siege. And if you do, do not ever hold the walls. It is a trap that gets you killed almost every time. Like makes you lose. But instead of fixing the siege battles, they're like, no, we're just gonna get like not every settlement has walled settlements. Yeah, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. We're not actually fixing this shit. What, you thought we were fixing this? Fuck you. And it's like, oh my god, bro. Just complete fucking fumble of the highest proportion. And again, probably one of the best fantasy IPs they had. Just completely fumbled, right? And again, Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of games that came out with this IP. I care for the movies more. I mean, there's like an RTS type shit that whatever. But We know what happened with Lord of the Rings, with the rings of power plus privilege. It's surprising not really even showing any of that. Like, okay, here's the autism that was the previous Lord of the Rings, right? It's fat races that don't care for each other coming together to fight an even greater evil. Like, that's just something that relates to everybody, regardless of who you are. It's like, yeah, I can relate with that. I can, put aside my differences, but again, they don't want fantasy to be that anymore. They want to completely get rid of fantasy. Endless Legends. Again, I can just look at this and be like, okay, that was the Maserati. That this is the Arugans, I think they are, from what I see. It was Endless Space's attempt at making it more fantasy. I have hundreds of hours in this game. Not gonna shit on it. It's cheaper now. I definitely play Endless Legends 1. I played 2, like 2 of the 5 factions. Again, I already gave you my opinion on on the strategy is dying, we have killed it. So I'm not really gonna go over this. But again, you look at these factions and you're like, oh hey, these guys look cool. I want to know more about these guys. They got the big old construct. They got like the vaulters. It's like, yeah, this looks cool. And it's like things like that gets people into the world. And if you have people that are creative, you have the dragon guys. They're pretty cool. You have a bunch of other minor factions. And this game prided itself off having lore for literally every individual thing. You got the tree people, the fucking cringe tree men. And it's like they prided themselves off these things. Also side factions, but again, you just don't get this in fantasy. Hell, Dungeons and Dragons. I've just been looking through old D&D art and just looking at it. You're like, this is fucking cool. Does this make sense? Hell no, but see, that's the thing about fantasy, right? It's the fantastical. Oh, we're trying to be fantastical. We're trying to have things that are like, oh, hey, this is cool. This gets my male lizard brain wanting to be part of this. To my knowledge, Dungeons and Dragons is now run by liberal women that don't actually know fantasy. Because if you did, you'd just keep this. But the Hasbro doesn't want to do that. They want to make these odd rules. One of them that made no sense to me was wheelchair rule, like movement rules. It's like a fucking wheelchair. What? Like that alone is not fantasy because okay, say you have a character that is physically disabled for whatever reason, like you can have them either ride a carpet, which flying carpets are cool, fantastical, or like have them be a druid or someone that summons like a horse or something to ride or some. And obviously, if that's not the case, I mean, obviously the DM's going to place limitations on the player. And plus, for some odd reason, the D&D people want to know, like, individual people's fucking campaign. It's like, this is something people do in the sanctity of their own home. But Hasbro just needs to know. Like, they have to reach in and be like, oh, is everyone playing right? It's like, get the fuck out of my house. Fucking idiots. So, and in D&D, like, this just, newer D&D just doesn't look like this. Like, and again, this is an IP you play in the sanctity of your own home. You can have whatever rules you want. but they still want to reach in there and be like, is everyone playing right? Is everyone playing the right way? We need to know. We need to know, like, it's the Trust and Safety Council. So if the players just interacting naturally, we need to walk in. Like, this is just so fucking cool. But this isn't D&D anymore, and you can also tell by the rules. Like, there's no half races, there's no sub uh, classes. Okay, there's sub classes to an extent. They got rid of slavery as in world mechanic game. You can do whatever you want in your campaign. They just have to say these things. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, if you don't know fantasy, maybe you just shouldn't be over this IP. If you don't know the demographic that's playing this, you just should. And even this is fine. Like, it's odd. Again, they're not showing any of the new art that came from D&D because people just shat on it and it was like, oh yeah, here's that movie that, I mean, it's whatever. Because people just shat on the new art because it didn't look fantastical. It looked like what you would do in your real life, and it's like, I don't play D&D to play real life. Get this shit out my fucking face. And people just memed on it, shat on it, said no, get this shit out of here. And you're not seeing any of it. I'm trying to scroll to see if you can kind of see, but no, you see the old epic D&D style Chronicles of Mysteria. I mean, this looks epic. Like, that's what you see, and it's that way for a reason, because this is what the consumer wants. Hell, Might and Magic. I think that they want to make a new, or did they already come out with a new Might and Magic? I could never really understand this game because, I mean, I was young. I got it from the computer. Not from the computer, from the library. Like, you'd have one unit and it would have a number over it, and that indicated the amount of that unit. And I mean, I liked the visual representation of armies on the map. And if it's just one unit, just make it one unit. Again, this is when I played Age of Wonders, was from the library. It's like, they just, a couple units. If you were like, I think 6 or I think it was 8 per army, and if you had like 3 armies or like more than that, and that's kind of how they went about it. Ew, this just looks weird. I think this is the new shit. But I don't care for that. I like the old Might and Magic. 99 Nights. Not the second one. The second one's bad. The first one, sort of a fantasy, more. It's a Dynasty Warriors knockoff. Like, it's clearly just knockoff Dynasty Warriors, but I like it. I love it. Top 5 games. You had the whole fantasy idea. Again, I can glaze this game all day, every day, but I'm not here. This would be an hour-long video. This will probably be. What's another example? Diablo. Ew. Well, no. I'm just typing in Diablo, and I hate that it's coming up with the 4th one, and you gotta give it time. I'm on my mobile hotspot. It's just shoving the 4th one down your throat, and it's like, brother, I want Diablo 2. Get this shit out my fuck. It's so annoying that you can effectively just buy search space. I don't want to see this shit. Like, Diablo 3 was, care. Yeah, this was the do you not have phones thing. I think it was 3. And then 4 came out and it's like, who the fuck is even over Diablo anymore? Like, one of the greatest scenes from 2 was this guy throwing the sword at the world stone and it just exploding into toothpicks. And I remember in 2, like, there's a lot of situations where you could just fuck your character. Because I remember there are these, like, yellow zombies that did, like, a status effect that lowered your overall health permanently by 1 per attack, and there's so fucking many of them. You could literally fuck yourself, but to my knowledge, this isn't that game. You know, I am getting mad that it just keeps showing this bullshit because I want to see fuck this. Let's go to Path of Exile 2. Again, yet another fantasy setting. And Path of Exile 2 just came out of nowhere. Like, I know people that really liked the first one, but the first one didn't really blow up as much as, well, I thought it would. But it was pretty damn good. I loved 2. I mean, after a while, I kind of just felt like endlessly blowing through hordes of enemies with overpowered character is fun the first time, and it's fun the second time, but after a while you just sort of understand, oh, I get this is how I'm supposed to go about it. And I fell off, but I 100% support this game, and I'm glad I paid for it. Magic the Gathering. This is sad because I was into Magic the Gathering a little bit. I had a Goblin artifact deck. But this is clearly the case of, you know, the Fortnitification of IPs because, again, Magic the Gathering had its own lore, had its own appeal, but then it tried to just be Fortnite for no other reason than, yeah, let's just have a fucking Post Malone deck. Why? Oh, because we paid them money. Let's have a Assassin's Creed deck. Why? 40k deck. Again, 40k is good, but why? Like, you have your own lore. Like, the old Magic art was just amazing, and it's a shame that they just completely forgot about that just to try to make it into Fortnite. It just sad. And because of that, like, say what you want about fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! They understand what and again, there's this Cosmo deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! That's clearly just Star Wars only. But they made it so many changes to, like, the art that you could believe it is still just Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just, there's a lot of references. But, and you would think that could work for Magic, but no, they just wanted to Fortnitificate it. It's just a shame, and I feel like things like this is just going to happen to more Western IPs simply because they don't know what makes an IP good anymore. Like, the same people that knew that, the same nerds in the past that made Magic don't exist anymore. Like, they've been shoved out. And again, there's also a lot of cases of them ripping art using AI, just completely fumbling with the art style. And this is something you just can't hide from the consumer. And you can't be like, oh, well, you should just accept it. No. Like, this is proof right here that they care for you. You know, the Fortnitification is proof that they don't care for you. They don't care for the IP. They quote unquote only do what is popular to your detriment. And this is why I think people like Elden Ring, because, okay, let's not fucking kid ourselves. The combat, like the actual combat mechanics, is kind of mid. It's like you dodge, smack, dodge, smack, dodge, smack. What people like Elden Ring for, one is the world. Even if you care nothing for the world just looks cool, right? And I'm one of those autistic people that min max. Like, I min max like 9 different fucking builds. Like, you look at this and you're like, you can actually go there. You can go there. Like, you can go to the Magic Academy. You can go here. You can go. This is like the mountaintops of the giants. You can literally go up here. Like, what you see, you can go to, and it is so fucking cool. And things like this, you're like, what the fuck is this? I don't know, but it fucking looks cool. I'm gonna play the game. And FromSoft has this just, and hell, we can even go to fucking Dark Souls, right? Dark Souls. Same thing. Like, one of the best fucking cutscenes was at the beginning of Dark Souls, introducing you to the game. One of the coolest cutscenes. Again, mid combat, but you're compelled. And also, there's just that type of gameplay feel you get when you just get your ass beat and you're like, God, maybe I shouldn't keep getting my ass beat, so I'm gonna try to get better at this game. So you get better at the game, and like, I don't know why I watched the Star Wars girl play this game. At first, I was like, I can't do this because she's one of those people that spend 1,000 years in like the character creator, making a character that you're only going to stare at the asset and you're going to put a helmet on anyway. And obviously, at first, she got her ass beat a lot, but she didn't quit. She kept on in the game and actually started beating back. And that, well, I said Dark Souls, I meant Elden Ring. Like, I watched her play that game, and it was like, that's just how gamers actually act, right? You know, just getting your ass beat is fine. A lot of older games, and there's this odd thing with developers where, like, oh no, the player has to get through the whole game, like in the 2010s. And this was, you know, there were good games, but you had the thing in the first BioShock where if you died, like, the enemies kept their health and there was really no pay. Like, you didn't lose anything. So the first Big Daddy, you could just keep running up, smacking him, and then you die. He kept his health. You could run up to him again, smacking him, die. And after a while, it was just like, okay, so you could literally just kill him, right? Without you, like, and there's also the thing where they would lock harder difficulties behind, you know, you completing the game the first time, which I will always say is just bullshit. Because, again, in games like Elden Ring, the difficulty is the point. Like, would Elden Ring be the same if it was an easier game? I'd say no. It'd be completely different. Like, if they had an easy mode, would this game would Dark Souls be the same? No. It'd be a completely different game if you had those mechanics. And a lot of people were demanding that they add an easy mode just for no other reason, right? People who probably don't care to play the game to begin with was imposing girl characters, easy mode, and it's like, no, that just is not up to you to impose upon even if, like, let's assume, yes, they absolutely would have more players if they had an easy mode. That's completely up to them to decide, not you. Kingdoms of Amalur: The Reckoning. I had the pleasure of playing through this game. The problem is a lot of people didn't. This is the remake. And a lot of people didn't because this game came out literally the exact same time as Skyrim, and Skyrim was huge. So this game effectively literally just got shafted. And it's a shame because such an amazing game, right? Like, this looks cool. And God, I'd implore people to play through this game. It is a long game, but honestly, I'd say this combat for this game was better than Skyrim. Now, Skyrim was better than Kingdoms of Amalur: The Reckoning in a lot of things, but I'd say as far as combat, Kingdoms of Amalur: The Reckoning, because it was more combo based where you had your spells and you can use spells in conjunction with attacks and with other spells, and you can really min-max in a way that just made it feel good. And it's just, you also had like a oh yeah, there's a mechanic where if you kill someone or take someone's health down when you're in your rage mode, there's like individual cinematic kills you can do to them, and it was just so fucking cool. Like, I seen that and I was like, man. I mean, Skyrim did the same thing, right? But it was very wishy-washy with Skyrim. You know, it was a chance it could happen, but I wasn't 100%. But this game, like, I played through this game again. My only gripe is you had like a chest that was kind of like a stash, but it only had limited space, which is dumb because there's a lot of like armor sets you can get in this game. And I did the mistake of selling the armor sets because I'm like, oh, they're going to keep it, right? No, they do not keep the armor in their sell stash. It places out. So I kind of fucked myself that, like, the second, or I think it was the first time around. The second time around, I knew which, honestly, I went through the armor that looked cool. But it's like, I knew, okay, which armor actually benefited my character. And it was also the type of game where if you invest, like, usually I don't care for being good at everything, and that's kind of what Skyrim is. It's like, as long as you could effectively be good at stealth, you can be good at fighting and magic if you spend enough time. And I don't know, my thing is, you kind of it's better to pick a route, pick, like, it's better because it's like giving people limited tools is sometimes better because they have their strengths and they have their weaknesses, and they have to account for that by either trying to minimize the weakness as best you can or just build completely on your strengths, and that adds just gameplay elements to it. Like, I think you take away if you do what Skyrim did and just made everyone get at everything, and all you have to do is just craft a million iron daggers to mega boof your level. And to an extent, Elden Ring's the same way, but going through it the first time, you kind of gotta pick a route until you just kill the Albinarch motherfuckers a million times for that, like, EXP grind. And again, I'm looking at this. This looks amazing. You know, it's like, I don't know what faction this is, but he has the dual-bladed fucking red sword, and it's like, you know what? I like that. Right? That's cool. I think in this game, You're playing the chosen one, and you're going around doing the chosen one things. Again, they didn't have the best stories, but what mattered was the content of the game as opposed to this over like arcing like interconnected narrative. And I think that's fine. And obviously Skyrim, we can't, you can't not talk about this game, right? There's a reason why they resell this game like a million times, and this game, along with like Oblivion, still has a modding community to this day. It's because one of the best fantasy, aspect, Oblivion as well, just the best fantasy. You didn't know what the fuck's happening. You didn't care. Again, the story is you're the chosen one, doing chosen one things, and by golly, you did that shit so fucking good. And obviously, again, the story, not the biggest aspect, but it doesn't have to be. What matters was the world, and the world was amazing. If you played this game, I don't need to get into all of this. You just knew. World of Warcraft, yet another case of the holders of the IP. Another case of Blizzard not fully fucking understanding what made the IP good. They'd rather just hire people and hire, consultants, people that don't actually know and or care for the IP, but because nepotism, they just throw them. And you can tell just by newer Blizzard, the cutscenes. Like, look up the cutscenes and the fights of newer Blizzard. Like, I played Burning Crusade a little bit on the netbooks. A lot of people started with Wrath of the Lich King with this dude Arthurius, but if I'm not mistaken, you can play him and you literally play the bad guy. Like in his story, you literally just massacre like just these elves for no reason because they're in the way, right? Because they're just in the way of you resurrecting your Lich King, and you feel bad, but you gotta fucking do it. You gotta kill him to get ahead. Draenei, best faction, by the way. But and you had the Horde, you had the Alliance, you had these, dichotomies between the two, but then they tried doing this thing where it's like, oh no, actually, the Horde are kind of the good guys, or not really the good guys, or just misunderstood. And it's like, no. In fantasy, you can have just evil characters, evil factions. It's fine. Like, we're talking a medieval setting. We're not talking whatever bullshit, the theater kid wants to have. Like, get the fuck out of here. You can have Ian. This is also why fantasy's dying. Because, again, people who don't fucking understand fantasy are making demands of IPs, of you, the consumer. Like, you, the consumer, needs to like this. Otherwise, you are a bad person. Like, and it's odd. They really do try the angle of, morally going after the consumer. And when has that ever fucking worked? Never. And it's surprising people they still do this, right? By that I mean people that defend where World of Warcraft's going, who don't even play the game, who haven't played the older games, but will yell at you for being like, okay, this isn't the World of Warcraft I grew up with, I'm jumping ship. They'll then go after you for saying that. And it's like, again, if people just don't like an IP, that's fine for whatever reason. like even in RuneScape, like a lot of people are just going back to old fashioned RuneScape. I think more people play old fashioned than play the new one. But it's like, you look at this and you're like, yeah, this has a style. This might not be graphically big, and this is also the thing with quote unquote realism. It shouldn't, but it always runs smack dab into creative freedom and style and aesthetic, even though we all agree that that shouldn't be the case. Like in like 2014, when realism, like having realism in the game, realistic graphics was new, people appreciated it. But then you realize realism is just a style, and if every game, has that style, after a while, it's kind of just the same fucking game. I think this is like the newer RuneScape. Do people play it? Probably. But like, this to me was the old, and I played this when it was on like a web browser game. And this to me, this is RuneScape. I don't really care for the. I mean, yeah, I'd say it keeps the style even if it's a little bit more realistic. It's just, will I play it? Probably not. I mean, I haven't played old school in like fucking forever. It was like, when did we start getting the netbooks? In seventh grade? We had Ultra Surf, and with Ultra Surf, you could search anything, and by anything, I mean anything. I mean, I just used it to get fucking to pirate music. I mean, no, I didn't. What are you talking? I didn't do that. Never pirate. Piracy's a bad thing, kids. But anyway, long while, and God, even the old Zelda, like, I'm sorry I get it. The new Zelda's trying to be more for kids, right? But I will always advocate for just the good old grungy style of Zelda over the new shit. I just like, I liked this style. This, yeah, I guess that's fine. I don't know, just the old art of Zelda. Just, if to me, that made the whole thing good. I mean, but if people like Zelda, people like Breath of the Wild, so I'm not gonna diss it. But like, nothing can hold a candle to this, right? Nothing can hold a candle to classic, because again, this had a particular style that you look at and you're like, oh yes, I'm into the flavor of Zelda. This is definitely something I'm interested in. The new style, oh yeah, okay, I get it. They're making it for kids, cool. I don't care for this. I don't care for just the. If anything, I'd say the old was better than this. Like the old pixel graphics, I would have over this, because you had this because of just the limitation of the engine. You have this right here because kids and children want to play the game. Like, you can have children play but still keep this. Like, I don't know what this new generation of kids have for entertainment. But, I mean, at first, we had the pixel graphics because of limitation, but then we had this, right, and this. And this was good. This was just, you just keep this right here. These three up here, keep them. Garbage ass. And if you know the story of Zelda was weird because it's one of those that they reuse the fucking villain over and over. It's like, okay, yeah, Ganondorf, Ganonmorph, whatever. The dumbass again got beat the fuck out of him. Final Fantasy does the same fucking thing. It's like they reuse the same villain over and over. It's like Xehanort or Xehanort or whoever the fuck. Same thing with uh, Kingdom Hearts, so the first one, the good one. But, ah, man, this right here is why fantasy's dying, right? This right here is them trying to appeal to just this audience of kids. I don't fucking care for this either, but like, God. It's just the styles of fantasy. Like every game had its own style and had artists that would be trained for years. Right? It takes years of artistic talent to even make something like this, right? It takes you, but now that's all going away. Just to like, it takes years of talent to make something like this, but it's all going away because they'd rather make a cheap product, a product as cheap as possible and raking the most money, which is why everything's being remade. And because of that, I'll have to say we've killed fantasy. We've put it in its deathbed. It's not coming back. You know, maybe in the indie scene you'll get good fantasy, but I mean, I doubt it. That's all I really gotta say. Peace.